speaking of that, by the way, last night or 2 nights ago, I started watching that show, The Leftovers. Let me take a drink real quick. The Leftovers is on HBO. It's a series. And I started watching because Justin Theroux's on there. I think he's gorgeous and hot and everything. And by the way, the first episode of that, it's like the first scene, I think it's the first scene. Yeah. The first scene of the first episode, Justin Theroux's running and jogging, and he sees his junk flopping around. It's pretty nice. Anyway, but it's a show about supposedly, I mean, they haven't really said, it's the second episode of 3 that's been released so far, but I think it's about the resurrection. And so all of a sudden these people start disappearing from like everywhere, just like boop, there they go, they're gone. Like one lady was in her car with her baby, the baby's in the back seat crying, and all of a sudden it stopped crying, she looked back and the baby was gone. And everybody and people who were just in their cars or walking all of a sudden just disappeared. And so, and their kids are left. There's people who are kids that are left, people who are adults, old people, young people from all walks of life are there or left over. And it's about what the people who are left over, the leftovers, after the resurrection or whatever. They're assuming it was the resurrection. I'm assuming that's what it is. So they haven't really said yet. And then there's this cult involved with it that they don't say anything. They don't speak, and they say, "Don't waste your breath" or something to people. So they never say anything, literally. And we don't really know what they're about. They're weird. And it has Amy Brennan or Bremen or whatever her name is from Judging Amy. If you remember her, she's in it. And as I said, Justin Theroux is in it. I think they're the only two big stars. No, Liv Tyler's in it. She's in it. So it's got some big stars in it. It's pretty good. It's pretty interesting, even though it may have religious undertones. I find it to be pretty interesting and intriguing, at least to me. And it's kind of eerie. It's kind of like reminiscent of Lost. If you were a fan of Lost, you probably would be a fan of this show, at least to some degree, because of the premise of the show. Because just like in Lost, where you're lost the whole fucking time, you don't know what the fuck's going on, why they're there on the island, blah, blah, blah. It's similar with this. You don't know what the fuck's really going on, why people are disappearing necessarily, and why some people are there, why people aren't, and what the cult's about. And so, I mean, it's got all these little mysteries involved, so I find it to be interesting and intriguing. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth looking at. What else did I watch? Oh, did I talk about Elaine Stritch on my Game Ass show this week? I can't remember if I did or not, but if I didn't, I did. Ironically, she died this week. She died a couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before yesterday, I think. And ironically, I had just watched her documentary about her on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. Yeah. And like a week ago before she died. And I was like, oh, she's still alive. I was so happy at the end of it. I thought she'd be dead because I didn't know if she's dead or alive. But she's still alive and was alive until this week. And, people like her are awesome because, I kind of consider myself to be similar in a way, but I don't know. You can tell me what you think, but I find people like her to be awesome because, she did what she wanted to do. She didn't live her life for other people. She lived her life for herself. She never had any kids or anything. She lived for her work. She lived for her art and that sort of thing. Even until she was, 89 years old, she was continually, and when she was in good health, performing, and she was still pretty sharp and still, doing her work. And, it makes me wonder what things are going to be like when I'm her age, when I'm 89 years old, if I make it that long. Because, it's hard for me to imagine that age. I have no idea what'll be happening. I assume I'll still be living in the same house because I'm investing so much money in remodeling it and stuff. I don't think I'll ever leave it unless I win the lotto or something and I want to build my own like $1 million mansion or something, or multi-million-dollar mansion. So I think when I'm 89, I'm definitely going to still be working. I mean, I honestly will probably always be working if I'm able to. If I'm in the right health if I'm in good health and people still want me to work and still like my architecture and design or whatever I'm doing, I'll still be doing it to some degree. Or maybe I'll still have my firm or just have people working for me. I don't know. But I can't imagine myself never working or never doing anything. If I'm not working, I'll be running my nonprofit or something until I die. Like Betty White. Betty White has continued to work her entire life, almost her entire life. Since she was in her 20s, she's been working in film and television. And she's still going at 93, 94 years old now. I mean, it's still going. And people asked her, why don't you retire? Why don't you relax and just take it easy? And she's like, what the hell would I do? She's like, what am I going to do? Sit around and eat pie or whatever. So, I agree. I mean, just because you're old doesn't mean you're dead. You're not dead. Your mind is still there. People who are old have always told me that they still feel the same age that they were in their minds at 25 or 35 or 45 or whatever age they say. And that's going to suck, you're still mentally sharp. You're still mentally there. You're still have the will and motivation to do things and to achieve things, but your body won't let you because you're old, you're tired, you get tired easy, you just want to sleep all day or whatever the case is, you can't get around as well. So it's going to kind of suck, I guess, to get old. But I've always thought of it as a privilege, honestly, because not everyone is fortunate enough to be old. If you've lived a life long enough to be old, then you've really earned it. And you're fortunate as well because of health or whatever, whether you've come through things or not, you are unique. And not everybody makes it to that age. Think about all the people who get killed when they're young because of diseases or because of accidents or plane crashes or whatever the case may be, or murder or whatever. So I certainly hope I live to be at least that age, if I'm happy. I just want to make sure when I get old that I'm still happy. I don't want to live, people say, I want to live to be 110 or 150 or whatever. I'm like, I have no fucking desire to be 150 years old. I mean, I'm only 39 now, and I feel like, fuck, that's a long way. That's a fucking long, long time. I mean, that's a long, long time. I don't know. I don't want to live to be 150. But they say that people in my generation, all things remaining constant or, whatever, if the world doesn't end or whatever. And, people continue to be living the way we're living today, whatever, the environment doesn't kill us first. We'll live to be about 120 years old on average. I mean, 110, 120 years old. I mean, we'll live to that, not on average, but live to that age maximum. Most people who will live that long or whatever, if they want to, if they're healthy. So that's a really long time. I have no interest in living that long. Now, what I was trying to say, though, is if I have friends around me and family and all that stuff, great. But what are the odds? That's what's so sad about getting to be that age or being really old is like almost everybody around you has died that you knew or loved. And my grandmother was like that. She died when she's 96, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And all of her friends had died. All of her close friends had died. All of her sisters had died. Her family that she grew up with had died. Her family, her mother, her dad, or whatever, brothers, sisters, had all died. Her cousins had all died. Now she had family. She had myself, my mother, of course, with whom she lived when I was younger, and until she died, she lived with my mom, and she had her kids and her grandkids and her grandkids, but no one ever really came to see her. The people who really saw her were my mother and myself. We were very, very close. So, it's isolating to be that old. To be that age has got to be extremely lonely. And I know it was for her. Even though she had us, I'm sure she wanted to have people, that she had known through her life to talk to and to share things with. And so you just get kind of lonely. I mean, it's just kind of sad. And so I don't want to end up that way and just being there, especially I'm probably not going to have kids. I might, but even if I do, it's unlikely I could outlive them. You never know. So I don't know, getting old sucks, but it is part of life. But we're all doing it. We're all getting old, but you know what? I'm happy with who I am and what I'm doing in my life and what I've achieved thus far. And I really like myself. So I think as long as you feel that way about your life and you're happy with your life for the most part, and I'm not saying, smiling ear to ear all the time happy, but I mean, you're generally happy. As I generally am happy, I've got a husband and kid, my dog and cat and friends and everything else and the career and blah, 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 and some money in the bank, whatever. So I'm happy. I would say that I'm happy. And I think that's all you can really ask for as we get older, is to be happy and not to, be greedy and expect perfection, because nothing like that exists for anybody. I think that's one of the pitfalls people have in life, is expecting perfection from themselves, from their lives, from other people or other people's lives, because that just does not exist. It just does not exist in any shape or form. I'm sorry. Perfection and humanity will never go hand in hand. We're human beings. We will never be perfect in any form. So it's just not in the cards for us. So to expect perfection is just setting yourself up for unhappiness and being sad. I think that if you, almost everybody I've ever known that is sad or depressed or whatever, outside of a chemical imbalance, I mean, but people who are sad or down, generally it's because they want something that they can't have, or something that they long for, whether it's another person or love or a thing or success or money or whatever, because they particularly can't achieve it because it's their goal or whatever it is they want to accomplish is unrealistic, or they were looking for something perfect and they're never going to find it. Especially people like I've known friends and family as well in the past who are single and they want this perfect person, perfect face, perfect teeth, perfect nose, perfect eyes, perfect hair, perfect body, perfect dick, perfect ass, perfect bank account, perfect car, perfect house, perfect clothes, perfect family, perfect. And unless they have all these things, check, then they're not going to be happy. Well, those people are alone. Those people are all alone. All of them that feel that way, that I've known that like that, whether I've known them online, in person, whatever, they're all single and they don't want to be single. They want to be with somebody. I'm not talking about people who want to remain single. These are not people who are happy being single. They're people who want to be in a relationship and share their lives with people. And people who are expecting perfection from someone else, it's just stupid. They're stupid. They're idiots. I'm sorry, they are. Whether this is a family member or a friend, they're an idiot if they think that, because it's never going to exist. It doesn't appear, and it doesn't happen in relationships ever. So that's the thing about relationships, is they are work, and you have to really work through things and issues. Even when it seems like they're never going to work themselves out, eventually they do if you continue to work at it. If you both work at it, you both have to want to work at it. And if you do, it will work itself out. And I know that from experience to be true. So hopefully that's going to help somebody. Anyway, now I'm rambling, but that's the whole fucking point of this show. So, if you don't like it, fuck you. What else am I going to talk about before I go? Let's see what's in the news real quick. What's in the news? Oh yeah, the guy Brooks Wheelan was fired from SNL. I liked him. He was funny. He didn't get that many skits, but he was funny when he did. If you watch SNL, I don't really see anything else to talk about. There was this little video about, are black men really bigger? I don't think that's true either. I mean, actually, the video said no, black men are just as big or not as big as white men or Hispanic men or Middle Eastern men or whatever. But I don't know. From my experience, black men generally are bigger. So I don't know why they say, I guess they're talking scientifically on this thing. When I watched it, I think they meant scientifically, taking a broad swath of the population and looking at the averages. So averaging out, yes, that's probably true. But I find that that's not necessarily true. I think when you run into a black guy, if you sleep with one, you're going to find they probably are generally bigger than most men. I'm not saying they have to be huge and gargantuan, although those exist, but I think they generally are bigger as well. But I've also been, the majority of the men I've been with have been Caucasian, and I've run into many huge penises that were attached to white men. So that's, it isn't true, but it is true. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a myth, but it's also got some sort of basis because I know that almost every black man I've ever seen naked has had a big dick. And the majority of the white men I've been with have had big dicks. And maybe that's just because I'm attracted to big dick guys. I don't know what the deal is, but it is, subconsciously or something. It has been the case. I've only been with a few guys who were not that big or who were kind of small. And they were all white. And mostly ethnic guys had bigger dicks. And this is what I thought. And this may sound so totally racist. I hope it doesn't. But I thought that black men had bigger penises genetically, evolutionarily.